Brooks, and Cobley needed speakers. Those were the only ones we heard from. So if there's anybody else who is in need of speakers, let us know. As far as wiring goes, I heard back from Putney and Pope. They both gave us quotes on how much that wiring would cost. I was in touch with Windsor today. They are going to get a quote today. And Queechee was the other one that needed wiring that I have not gotten a quote from yet. Bennington was still up in the air. I'm not sure if they need wiring or not. The rest should be all set. Pulteney initially was a question, but I believe they have 2 ports on opposite sides of the room, so they'll be all set. So basically, we need to get a quote from each of the libraries that need wiring so that we can work on allotting funding for that. We need to have, if you are hoping to have a video conference actually take place at your site for you to cast out to other libraries, it's ideal to have 2 Ethernet ports so that one can take care of actually streaming. That needs the speed of an Ethernet connection. You can't stream via Wi-Fi. And the other one would be used for moderating, kind of keeping track of comments, keeping track of who needs to be muted, who needs to be unmuted, that sort of thing. And it's just best to have that working on Ethernet and not Wi-Fi, just so that they're at the same speed as each other. It can be a little confusing if one of them's lagging behind. As far as just taking part in a video conference, if it's originating somewhere else, you should be all set with the 1 port. So we are, happy to begin installing equipment anywhere that has at least 1 Ethernet port, which I guess I can get into the install. As Sherry said, a bunch of Ethernet and HDMI cables have been sent my way, and once I receive those, I can start scheduling installations at different libraries. I'm thinking I've been in contact with Aldrich that they would be my first library to install at. They are all set with Ethernet. That'll be kind of a longer, I'll be there for a while kind of collecting the media that I need and the information that I need to fully flesh out the instructions that will be coming along later on. So the first step will be to get everybody installed and connected, and then I'll do my own little research to make sure I have all of the images and info that I need, and then I can create a document that'll help everybody be on the same page as far as connecting the equipment and using it to video conference. So that's my basic plan. I'll be doing a lot of the installs hopefully on Mondays and Fridays. Those are my more open days, but I can work any day that works for you guys. I can make time. And yeah, that'll be my first step, is coordinating with you guys for when we can install. And from there, I guess I should get into the reason why YWP is involved in this. We actually kind of have a bit of a vested interest. We've worked with a bunch of you guys for our live streamed author talks. So as part of our training and as part of kind of gaining that experience, we're hoping to bring you all into a couple of our live streamed author talks and writing workshops. But of course the first would be, we would do some test meetings and make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody has everything working. And then we'll be able to step it up and do an actual event. So YWP is kind of jazzed to be involved in this to help you guys out, because then we get to have the fun of actually doing the events.
Thanks, Doug. I'm just going to interject here. This extra money that we have from the Gates Foundation, we may have at the end of this project some additional money that's left that we could use for any wiring needs for any of the original libraries that were the Google grant libraries, which are also Fiber Connect libraries. So if you're one of the 14 original libraries and you also are in the Fiber Connect WAN and you have wiring needs for maybe that extra second Ethernet port where you're using video conferencing, if you would email me today, that would really be helpful information, and we could kind of look at, watch the budget and see if there's money at the end of this project. Kate, I don't know where you are on getting a quote, but if you have a quote, if you could get that to Doug and me today or tomorrow. I'm writing my interim report to the Gates Foundation. Tomorrow's my last day in this job, and I would love to get as much in that report as possible. So if you've got that, that'd be great. If not, we can get it later. I think that's all I was thinking about in terms of spending the Gates money. So the next thing we've got here on the agenda is the training. So again, I'm turning this back to Doug.
Yep. So the training will have a couple of parts. I'm putting together an actual physical manual for how to set everything up and how to actually participate. So that'll be kind of start to finish, all the info you need, hard copy. You'll be able to access it online, and we'll also be dropping off a binder of this, 2 binders, so that you can have one for staff, one for public use. But we're also going to be doing some live training. So with the 9 new libraries as well as the 14 that already have equipment, we're going to be running some practice sessions. So once I get everyone set up with their equipment, I'll meet with each of you individually via a video chat just to make sure that you guys are aware of how it works, and I can kind of walk you through step by step if you have any questions. That'll likely just be a quick tutorial, and then we'll have kind of a bring everybody in for a quick chat, and if we have an actual topic that we need to cover, then by all means. But as far as I know right now, we're just going to have a kind of practice session. So that'll be just a walkthrough of the equipment and what you can do. I'll be moderating that session, but part of that will be learning how to do moderation and how to run a meeting from your own location. So that'll be after everyone has their equipment installed. I'll meet with you each one-on-one whenever times work for you. I haven't scheduled any of that yet because you don't have your equipment installed yet. So yeah, I'll schedule each of those individually, and then we'll do a group session where we can make sure that everybody's on the same page. And then, as I said, we'll have an opportunity to actually do a pretty cool interactive writing workshop with a local author. That's kind of the culminating, dress rehearsal, real event. So as I said, the final thing on the agenda was the binders for staff and public. So those will be, as I said, there'll be a hard copy as well as an online version. That'll be accessible for anybody. Hopefully, anybody who wanders in off the street, as I say, will be able to read that and use it to, even if it's just like a one-on-one video conference, do a job interview or whatever it may be. Hopefully, it'll be easily accessible, and they can use the equipment, and they'll be there for future events. So that's kind of my general premise. I'm going to coordinate with each of you, each of the libraries individually, just to make sure that we can have a little bit of one-on-one time. If you have any questions or anything's not working right, we can coordinate one-on-one before we do a multi-site thing. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks we can have everybody installed, and it'll be within the next 2 weeks after that I will be having individual sessions with each of the libraries. So you'll hear from me as far as coordinating times for that.
That's great. That's really great. With moving along, Doug, this is terrific to hear that kind of schedule. And I know that I've heard from libraries that one of the challenges is that somebody comes in and needs to use the equipment, and maybe the only person available is a volunteer or a staff member that's not been trained. So we really want to get as many people trained as possible. And I think that those binders will be really helpful, because if you're busy and somebody needs to use that equipment, you can sit them down and say, here's the binder, step by step, follow this protocol, and you'll be able to use the equipment. So I hope that that will help you on your end, help people be able to use this equipment. Doug mentioned programming, and some of your libraries, I know Selena Rockingham was involved in this, and I'm trying to think who else, St. Johnsbury and Kellogg Hubbard, and
Was for one of them.
who am I missing? Um,
Burlington and Rutland were both involved.
I forget, Burlington and yeah, that's right, Rutland. Anyway, we have done some programming with the Young Writers Project where they had an author or poet at one library site with teens interacting with, 4 or 5 other libraries where there were teens gathered. And it was a terrific program, and I forget how many times you did that, Doug. How many authors?
So we've done 3 total. Joe Knowles was our kickoff, and we did one with Jensen Beach as well, and then recently we did another similar thing with Joe Knowles again. But yeah, so we've done 3 or 4 depending on how you look at it.
That's right. We did have a trial. That's right. So that's been a really successful program and a great use of this video conferencing equipment in the network. We'd like to see more of that. So Doug and Jeff at the Young Writers Project are looking to do this again in the fall, if I got that right?
Yeah, we're tossing around some ideas for kind of our own, launching a couple workshops of our own, but not sure if those are going to be live streamed. So we're looking at the fall to start our formal, schedule.
So you'll hear more about that, but we'd also really like to hear from you. What other kinds of programming could you see this video conferencing network useful for? What would you like to see? And we wouldn't be able to do all of you at once, so there may be 5 libraries that do program X and another 5 libraries that do program Y. This could be for children, it could be for teens, it could be for adults, it could be business seminars, it could be, management seminars, it could be programming that comes in from an art museum in another state or from the National Park Service, or there's kind of limitless opportunities for bringing in. It could be international. If you want to have somebody come in from another country to do some kind of a talk or programming, or somebody in your community that wants to share information. It can be programming. It could also be meetings. I've had lots of calls here from organizations around the state, both community and nonprofits and state organizations, wondering how they could use this network to have meetings when they have constituents around the state. So we're looking for ideas. Again, we think we're going to have some money left over from this Gates grant to do this so that we can offer you some programming ideas. The idea is that we want to get this network used. If we have some programming over the summer and in the fall, while this training is still fresh, then you'll be using it, and the more you use it, the more comfortable you are with the equipment, and you get to really leverage. Those of you that have fiber connectivity, you leverage the power of the speed and the capacity of the broadband, but you also get to leverage the use of this equipment. So we want to see it used, but we're looking for your ideas, and you'll be thinking of things that we're not thinking of, and so I would get those ideas to Doug. Let him know the kinds of things that and we will work to try to set some of those things up. We can pick up the cost of those programs, let's just say through the end of 2017, even earlier if we can, because the Gates Foundation would really like us to spend that money. So I don't know if anybody else has anything to say before we turn it over just to Q&A. You think we've covered everything, Doug?
I believe we have, yeah, unless there are any questions.
Hi, I do have a question.
I have a question. Are we going to be receiving a list of the other libraries that have the equipment?
Yes, in fact, I meant to do that before the webinar. I have a spreadsheet with all the libraries and all of the contact information. I'll send that out after this webinar. And it would be great if you could look at this, make sure that we've got the right contact information and email addresses. And yes, we'll get that out to you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I knew there were other questions.
Yes, Doug, when you say installation, do you mean you're going to like mount the speakers on the walls? What do you mean by that, installation?
So for most of the libraries, there's a rolling cart involved. So for most of the libraries, it'll be mounting the TV to the rolling cart, connecting the, unboxing everything, connecting everything, making sure that all of the, pretty simple, making sure that all the cables are, connecting the various aspects and that it's all working, booted up and connected to the Ethernet and make sure that there are no problems so that we can train. I believe all of the libraries went with a cart. I don't think we're doing any wall installations, but I'll double check on that. The speakers and everything will be contained within the rolling cart.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Other questions? Okay then.
This could also be a good time for you to tell us, how's it working? Have you used it? Have you not used it? Successes, problems, cheers from the public?
Yeah, if there's anything in particular that has been problematic, that would be great to know, just so I can, think about ways to avoid those problems in the future.
And I'd love to know successes that I could report to our funders.
Giselle, did you have a question or something you wanted to say?
No, I was just going to say that I think that we can apply this in several different ways, but because I'm still new-ish to the community and we haven't used the equipment yet, we didn't really get any training that I can tell. I think I'll be able to ask more educated questions in the future.
And that's
Thank
great.
you.
If you've got that beautiful meeting room, I'd love to see it get used there. Yeah.
Absolutely. I can see a lot of applications for this.
Yes.
Any other comments? I'm sure some of you have used this. Rebecca, did you have something you wanted to say?
I don't have my equipment yet, so I haven't played with it, but I just wanted to say I'm really excited about all of these ideas for the public, but I'm also really hoping to see a renewal of the library certification program, and I would love to see this used for staff training. I think that's a really vital thing offered by the Department of Libraries, and I sure hope it's coming back.
Oh, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because when we got that Google grant, one of the things that we did was made sure that we had this equipment installed at the Mid-State Library, and since we've bought equipment here in Montpelier, and that was one of the things that we were thinking about right from the get-go, that we would be able to provide training. So thanks for that reminder, because I think it would be great to be able to do that and have librarians not have to travel so far. They could travel regionally, be it at some of your libraries, to receive that training. So yay, Rebecca. Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome.
Kevin has a comment there.
Hi, Kevin. I see that you've written a comment. I can read it. Kevin says, I found that the most successful uses of the equipment involve interactive video conferencing, where viewers can interact with presenters. Less successful has been presentations streamed out at multiple sources without much opportunity for interaction. So I hope we're modeling the former rather than the latter with this presentation.
And Kevin, thanks for that comment. I'm curious, why do you think that the latter doesn't work as well? I know that you don't have fiber broadband, so you don't have some of the capacity that other libraries have. Is that part of the problem, or are there other reasons for that?
Kevin, it looks like your mic's green. Do you not have a mic there? Okay. Well, while Kevin's thinking about that, do any of you, does anyone else have any comments? Have you had some success stories using the equipment?
question for other libraries. I was wondering if anyone was using this for video conferences between children and incarcerated parents. One of our city councilors is IT for the Department of Corrections, and he was very interested in getting that set up.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It is a great idea, and it raises one of the questions we have, and one of the challenges that you have at many of your libraries is not having a space where someone could go in and be private and close a door. For something like that, or you know, a deposition or a job interview or those kinds of things. So I know that that can be a challenge. And we did a survey of the 14 libraries, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months ago, when the Vermont Interactive Television Network died, VIT service around the state. When they ended that program, I was on a commission, a task force, to look at how Vermont was going to replace that service. And one of the things that the task force looked at was this library video conferencing network. So we did a survey of the 14 libraries, and what we learned was maybe not a surprise to us, but was a surprise to other people on the task force, is that your meeting rooms are often booked. So if somebody wants to come in and use this equipment, it's in your meeting room. The meeting room's already occupied. That's one challenge. And that other challenge is that you don't have a private space. So that kind of information is also valuable to us because it speaks to the need for construction money or renovation money so that you could adapt to your current spaces, you know, whether it's putting in a wall and a door or whatever. So if you could kind of track that kind of information too. The state, and I'm thinking of the legislature and others that are involved in state and public programming, they really are looking to libraries to pick up the ball, and your capacity is limited. I know that, you know that, but I just want to let you know there really is interest in making this a stronger network, and I think that idea, Sarah, speaks to that, one of those real community needs that could be addressed by you all.
So to finish Kevin's point, he says the interactivity is important because otherwise people can just view a live stream on one of many personal platforms available to them like YouTube, Facebook Live, etc. So having a back and forth element available adds value to the experience.
Yeah, good point. I agree with that. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, I would say to speak to that a little bit, the programming that YWP is trying to run is certainly interactive, and the software we have chosen, Blue Jeans video conferencing software, makes it really easy to switch camera and switch camera locations so you can see who's speaking, and it also does a great job of, if one location is on a slightly slower connection than the others, it doesn't pull everybody down to that same speed, which is what a lot of video conferencing software will do. You're only as fast as the slowest link. But with Blue Jeans, you may have one location that is getting a little bit of a choppy feed while the rest of them are still, instantaneously connected, and you can always comment back and forth via the text chat as well. So we are definitely striving for interactivity.
It's great. And
Marty, just to clarify, on some of those infrastructure improvements, if the Gates money was to be spent on things like putting in a door for privacy, is there a timeline on that? Because you had said that time was of the element in getting these funds spent.
They're interested in us getting this money spent as quickly as possible. Who was that? Emily? Who was that?
Sarah.
Sarah. Oh, Sarah. Maybe you and I could talk later today.
Okay.
You have time to call me. I'll be around this afternoon. Let's talk about that. And if anything else, anybody else have maybe something that they need a quick fix on, getting a door or something, let's talk. This is only for Fiber Connect libraries. Sorry, the Gates money. So Barry falls into that camp.
Doug, this is Kim at the Williston Library.
How's it going?
Good. You mentioned the Blue Jeans software. Now that's something we don't have. That's a paid product, right?
Right. So as part of this contract, the Department of Libraries is getting, I believe, 2 licenses for Blue Jeans, and the way that works is if you're the originating location, you need to sign into the Blue Jeans account. So we're planning on getting 2 different accounts so that we can potentially run 2 different simultaneous meetings. A little bit confusing, but if you're not the originating location, you don't need to have a license. You just follow the link similar to the webinar we're in now. So the reason we wanted to have 2 was just in case, we had the Department of Libraries wanted to do some sort of training, but at the same time we wanted to have, someone, whoever it may be, an educator or somebody from the community wanted to do something else. So we're going for 2 different licenses so we can have one devoted to kind of public use and one devoted to kind of staff stuff.
Okay.
And we can increase that number if it looks like that's not going to be sufficient. We thought we'd start with 2.
So is that something each library will have, and we'll hope we just don't step on each other, or we'll schedule using the license through the Department of Libraries, or?
So as part of the training and part of the manual, you'll have the credentials to launch a meeting. But I would say that you should try to schedule your meeting as far in advance as you can, and you would schedule it within the software so that if anybody else popped into the software to schedule something, they would be able to see, oh, this block of time is already taken up by another library's
thing. Okay.
And as Marty said, if it proves that they're being used, way too often, then we'll look into getting another license or 2.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So we still have some time left if there are more questions. Happy to talk about anything. So that's probably exhausted the questions you have right now. Of course, as some of you mentioned, you don't have the equipment yet, so questions will come up after that. And of course, you know who to contact. So if that's it, maybe we could wrap up the meeting. Anything else you want to mention, Doug?
I think we're all set if there are no questions.
So okay. I just want to say thank you all for your participation in this project. Some of you I've been working with on this for a long time, others fairly recently, but this has really been kind of a fun project. I know it's been challenging in some ways, maybe a little frustrating, but I think that the promise and opportunity is there. I'm checking out of here tomorrow, but maybe sometime I'll stop into one of your libraries and say, hey, I need to use that video conferencing network. Anyway, I wish you all luck.
One other question that I just thought of. Sorry, this is Sarah in Barrie. Is there a press release that anyone has already come up with to advertise this gift to libraries and its potential use?
Good question. Good question. We'll send something out for you.
Okay.
Good idea.
Thank you so much.
All right, then I think that wraps everything up. So we'll see all of you later, hopefully on a video camera at some point in the future.
Doug, thanks so much for your help on this.
Thank you. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.